What's going on YouTube? Today I'm just going to make a video on weather loach care. This is my golden weather loach. They are also known as Dojo loaches, so some people call them different things. Weather loaches are called weather loaches because they react to different weather conditions. So if it's going to be stormy, for example, then they'll probably become very active, or if there's going to be a significant change in the weather, they'll become very active. So that's why they have that name of weather loaches. Now, weather loaches prefer temperatures of anywhere from about 17 degrees Celsius to about 24 degrees Celsius, but not any higher than that for an extended period of time. The higher temperatures make their metabolism go faster, and it will shorten their lifespan. So I keep my loaches at room temperature, the same as I do my fancy goldfish, which they are living with. So as you can see, room temperature for me is 20 degrees, bang on pretty much, and that's perfect really. Fancy goldfish are happy and the loaches are happy. There's my female right there. They come from Asia, around there, and in those regions they're actually made into soup by the locals, so they are actually eaten as soup. So it's kind of nice that we have them here. The golden variety is the non-wild version, and the wild version is like a dark brown colour and can get bigger than the golden version. The golden version of these loaches can grow up to about 6 to 8 inches, whereas the wild versions can get even bigger, like I don't know, probably about like from that to there long, so they can get like massive. Minimum tank size for these guys would be a 30-gallon and a long tank, obviously because they grow quite long, and because they live on the floor you don't want a too high a tank, because obviously the oxygen capacity won't be as high in a higher tank than it will a longer tank due to surface area. So you want to keep them in preferably a longer tank, a 30-gallon at least, but not something like a 30-gallon tall. Definitely a long tank if you're going to go for a 30-gallon. Anything bigger than like 50-gallon, it doesn't have to be a 50-gallon long, it can just be a regular 50-gallon. So the aquarium they're suited to, it doesn't matter if it's planted or not planted, because they don't really need to hide at all, and when they do hide, they prefer to go in things like caves. So another thing you should provide for them is hiding spots, like I have here. So there's the shade under there, there's the shade under there, there's this log where it's always shady in there, it's covered by my moss ball, which should be over here, but it just drifts around. And then under these rocks there are all sorts of tunnels, and they've actually dug that themselves. That wasn't a tunnel, and they dug it out. And my female's actually in there at the moment. Yeah, you can't see her, but my female's actually in there right now, so they do need plenty of hiding spots like that. Possible aquarium bodies would be goldfish, fancy goldfish. Don't get goldfish that are big enough to eat them, because obviously goldfish are greedy and will eat pretty much anything. I do have a big ramshorn snail in with my goldfish and loaches, which is trying to escape at the moment. But loaches are usually known for eating snails, so don't get something like an apple snail possibly, or a mystery snail or something like that, because the chances are the loaches might attack it and eat it. That brings me on to diet. Diet for these loaches would be something like this, which is what I have, and these are JMC catfish pellets, and they have a good protein, if you can see that. I'm not sure, this camera's not too great at close range. So it has a good protein, because these loaches are carnivorous. They're sort of partially carnivorous, part omnivore. So they will eat anything. They'll eat algae tablets if you give it to them. They'll eat goldfish flakes. But to really keep them healthy, you need to feed them a high protein diet. And one of the main things that I try and focus on when I'm feeding the loaches is that the goldfish don't take their food, because if I'm feeding the loaches bloodworms and I feed the goldfish some pellets, I don't want the goldfish then eating the bloodworms, because the loaches won't get any food. So what I've done here is with these rocks, the rocks are quite close to the side there, and they're quite high off of the substrate, piled high, and the goldfish can't quite get down here. I mean, they could if they really tried, but they can't get quite down there. So I usually put their food either down here. Sometimes I'll take this log, put the food in there, and then put the log back on top. And other times I'll just put it right at the back here among this dense plants, because the goldfish can't swim through all those dense plants. So you've got to make sure that the goldfish or whatever they're living with don't actually take the food of the loaches. Another good tank mates would be mountain minnows, either white clad mountain minnows or the golden variety. I think if you're keeping a tank at around 21 degrees and above, maybe 22, you could possibly keep them with some bronze Corydoras, but the only problem with that is that these are bottom feeders and so are the Cory cats, but I think that would be alright. I mean, they're pretty much, they like the same temperatures, so yeah. The water quality needs to be pretty good, and they need a high oxygen level in the water, which is why I have this airstone for surface agitation here, and then I've got a lot of surface agitation for my 305 on this side. And I still have to cut the tubing on that, by the way. Obviously there's a big loop in the tubing, I need to cut that. Look, there's my female there, you can just see her coming out the rocks. So yeah, and another good thing you need in a tank like this is good flow, which is why I have a Fleeble 305 and a 35 gallon, and because they actually live in little streams and little rivers and stuff, so they like a good flow, and they're really fast swimmers. If you ever try and catch one of these for whatever reason, it's very difficult. They are very fast, and yeah, and an interesting point about these loaches is that they can survive for long periods of time out of water, up to a week apparently. If they jump out of the tank and you lose them, up to a week, the chances are they're alive underneath the tank, because what they do is they cover themselves in a slimy coating to keep themselves moist, and they actually absorb the oxygen through their guts, so they can stay alive out of water, because where they come from, if the stream dries up, they need to bury themselves in the mud, keep themselves moist, and they can breathe the air. So yeah, that's a cool little adaptation. But obviously don't take them out of the water and, you know, put them in a bowl of something, because obviously they do breathe water through the water. So yeah, well, I hope that's been helpful to you guys, talking about feeding, tank size, water quality, how they can grow to, and tank mates. So yeah, I think I've covered pretty much everything. So yeah, if you could like, comment and subscribe, go check out my channel, check out my other videos. Yeah, thanks for watching.